Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for what I believe is the last episode of the Secrets of King Racules little side mini-series for King-ohger. So, this series was a really mixed bag. I think this was probably the strongest episode of them. I think the only one I didn't really like all that much was episode 2. I mean, to be fair, it was kind of a bridge episode between the events of episodes 1 and 3, but that episode you didn't really learn a lot. But this episode I think was the strongest, because I think it had probably the most happening, the most potential setup for future things, at least in a way, and some of the best action. Well, we left off with him luring the kind of the main Bugster villain, not Bugster, Bugster is X8, Bugnarok, that's so close, the main Bugnarok villain from this whole special, which was the one impersonating the girl working on the research for him. And I can't remember her name, it's like Valerie or Vecna or something. I'm going to call her Vecna because Stranger Things, but he was impersonating her. I feel like one of my main things about this is a lot of the revelations and plot is just a bit confusing to me in the way they deliver it, where I'm kind of confused. Like, in terms of how she was impersonated, we now know that they can impersonate people because we had the other villain impersonating his, like, bulk character on the side there. But just the way they went about it was confusing in episode 2, and then this one was too, because it's like, oh, I was impersonating her, and then after he stabs him, she's like underneath him, so did he like wrap himself around her body? Like, I don't know, I'm just confused about the semantics of the way that works. But basically, the beginning of the episode is them fighting, and the guy basically saying, like, you can't kill me because I know the secrets of the mural you and your family have been looking for this whole time. And then ultimately he does kill him, he's like, you knew too many secrets, but it's like, it was almost kind of meta for me, because one of the things I've been disappointed about in this series is I feel there wasn't as many answers as I was hoping for. Probably a little bit unrealistic, some of the answers I was hoping for, and I'll talk about that at the end. But I just thought it was funny that, like, I kind of felt like there wasn't a lot of answers I was hoping for, and this whole thing was meta, where he's like, you can't kill me, you won't get the answers you want, and then he kills him before he can tell him anything. And I just thought that was very funny and very meta, the fact that I was wanting more answers and wasn't getting them, and he literally cut off a potential for answers. And then he's like interrogating this other kid about, you know, basically becoming the next person to research and setting up the same deal he did with Vecna Girl at the beginning of, like, you know, ultimately you'll probably be killed. But then he winds up finding out that she did finish her research, because he's delivered this thing that was on her body, which was like one of her little candies, which actually shows, like, this is where I was confused. So it projects a code, like, in the sunlight onto the wall, and it's like, okay, she did finish her research. And then immediately after that, he puts on his crown and he, like, locks in the Okuagata caliber, like Excalibur style, and it brings about the crown for the power-up, and then starts to kind of just unlock wheels in the castle. And I was like, okay, did that unlock the crown? Is that, like, was he looking for the crown? I felt like didn't they already have it? At least it kind of set up that being in his hands, which was a complaint from some people about the main show, of like, he already just had it, so it kind of set that up. And I think it set up that he has more answers from her research in his hands, and I think that it might be a little bit set up for the upcoming, like, big Kabuto mecha that's on the way, since it had to do with, like, the gears turning in the castle and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I was gonna say maybe I'm dumb, which I know I am, but I just felt like the delivery of it was always confusing. I wasn't sure the answers I was supposed to take away from this. I mean, ultimately, like, these 3 episodes were fine. You know, I enjoyed them for what they were. I'm not upset they existed, but I felt they were disappointing. As I said, I think my expectations for revelations for this were probably pretty unrealistic, as when this was announced, I was thinking we were going to get not only more lore details about, like, how he got his powers and stuff, but also some more insight into his backstory with Gira. I think ultimately the most unrealistic thing was probably that we were going to get more stuff with Gira, because since that ties into Gira, who's, like, the main character, they're probably going to save that type of stuff for the show. It would have been nice to get a little bit more of a hint at that, but I think that that actually makes sense that they would save that. But the only thing we really take away from this is just more details about how he got his powers, how he got King-ohger Zero set up, the fact that he and his family are looking for this mystery, which is, I think, probably ties into the overall past and the Fury of the Gods Night, and probably some stuff with kimonos, to be honest. So it honestly just kind of, for me, enhanced those mysteries a little bit, but nothing that felt really vital. Honestly, you could probably skip this. The only other thing that I think that it did is it showed, I think, some of the most humanity we've seen from, or at least a moment of it, from adult Racules, when he seems to be very fond of the Vecna girl, when he showed, like, oh, she did do her research, and he kind of has this smile. I think it was the most kind of, like, soft moment, I guess, from his character, because anything that's been shown in regards to his redemption possibly in the future as a good person is shown in flashbacks, outside of the fact that, you know, he didn't injure Gira vitally, and he was pretty vulnerable when the Bugsters... Why do I keep doing that? when the Bugnarok took over, but other than that, I think that was the only valuable things. I'm not saying it was a full waste of time, but I think it could have been more. Like, it makes a lot of sense because a lot of the big stuff I was expecting makes more sense to have in the main series, but I was still a little bit disappointed. I was trying to think of other specials similar to this, and maybe these are the wrong category, but the only two I could think of off the top of my head was like the Kamen Rider Demon special from Revice, and then that red Zenkaiger special. And neither of those necessarily had vital enhancements for the show, but I felt they felt more valuable. Like, the red one was just a lot more fun, and it had some cool bits, like commenting on the type of team the Zenkaigers are. And the Demons one wasn't vital to the main plot going on, but it overall enhanced the Demon character's story, and also made some of his story make sense when he came back, like some of the gaps were filled and stuff like that. I think those were kind of good examples. Again, those might be different categories in how they aired, I can't remember. But just in terms of talking about side miniseries, I think both of those are better examples of a series like this where it's not vital or anything and it didn't reveal any main story details, but it felt like it was a nice add-on that had value for me to the overall series picture. Whereas this, I feel like it didn't necessarily need to exist. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys can explain to me that we learned more stuff in the comments. Like, I always do like to see stuff like how he got his powers and stuff like that. But again, it just didn't feel as vital as I was hoping. I would give the series overall a 2 out of 5, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't hate it. I just think it could have been something more. I think that they could have still avoided revealing major plot stuff while giving a little bit more meat to the bones of this little mini-series. But what did you guys think of this little series? Did you enjoy it more than I did? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Awsama Rider, signing out.